Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Day in Exit channel, and today we're starting our coverage of the Vuelta of Burgos, and a big thank you to the organizers of the Vuelta of Burgos for providing it. Nevertheless, stage 1 was a bit of a punchy stage, total of 204.7 kilometers in length, but having a 900 meter uphill at the finish at 4.8%. When we joined the race, we could see that the peloton was starting to absorb all the breakaway riders one after the other. It was a very strong group towards the front of the peloton, with Soudal Quickstep, Lidl Trek, Q36.5 and Ineos Grenadiers very active to keep this break under wraps. It was about 3 minutes, and the two riders we had out in front was Dries de Bont of AG2R and Carlos Garcia as well of the Burgos BH team. These two riders were riding very well, but it was a very motivated chase behind, predominantly led by Soudal Quickstep and Q36.5, both having options for that finish. But the two riders just under 49 kilometers to go still had 2 minutes and 17 seconds, so it was very much in the balance. But Q36.5, thinking of Fabio Christian, really were doing a lot of work, and they got it down to 1 minute and 18 seconds, just around the 36 kilometer mark to go. We could see how hot it was as well on de Bont's jersey. These two riders were working very well. 1 minute and 11 seconds with 35 kilometers to go seemed like an impossible task at this point. We could also see the pace being put on by the chasers had left its mark, with plenty of the domestiques going out the back and other riders just not having enough power to stay up with the infernal pace being put on at the front. With 25.5 kilometers to go, they were only a few meters ahead of the peloton, but they were still riding strong and still maintained some kind of advantage, because 7 kilometers later they were making their way on the penultimate categorized climb, and it was Q36.5 trying to lead the charge, and they could see the peloton from the long hairpin, and they were doing a good job with 33 seconds. But by the top of the climb, that had shrunk down to 16 seconds, but still working fairly well together, the Spanish rider and the Belgian rider. When the peloton came across the top of that categorized climb, they got the deficit down to 12 seconds with 16.3 kilometers to go. With 15 kilometers to go, it looked like it was almost over for the two plucky riders, with the peloton breathing down their neck at this point, and it looked like it was going to be all over. It was all over for Garcia, but Dries de Bont tried to power away on the descent, upping his tempo as much as possible, trying to just keep away from the clutches of the peloton, going 85 kilometers an hour, almost touching 90 kilometers an hour, but he was being chased down vigorously by the peloton. With 12.5 kilometers, he had to surrender to Lidl Trek, who were keeping a very tight leash, and that meant that his day was over. But 12.4 kilometers was where he was caught. This also led to a bit of an unstable situation at the front, as many riders saw this as an opportunity, only 12 kilometers out. So we had riders attacking from multiple teams, and this was going to take a bit more to handle. Lidl Trek were taking up the policing duties to make sure that this was being reeled back in, and UAE team Emirates also somewhat helping here. This move quickly was nullified, and many of these riders didn't really try and grasp this opportunity and sat up, and Lidl Trek were once again in control of the group. The attacks didn't stop, because a few hundred meters later we had 3 riders trying to get up the road as well. This included Bahrain victorious Uno X and one of the Continental riders as well. So these guys were trying to get some sort of a gap, but this was quickly squashed again by Lidl Trek, and we could see that the pace was very, very fast in the last 10 minutes. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe were congregating towards the front as well, but with 7.7 kilometers to go, one plucky rider thought they could have an opportunity, and that was Samuel Fernandez of the Cal Rual team, who was trying to get up the road and did get a big gap to the peloton. The peloton seeming a bit reluctant to chase down, and he was doing a very good aero position, and we even got a glimpse of Nairo Quintana. Remember him? 5.4 kilometers to go, and he had built up a bit of a lead, Fernandez, and it looked like he could maybe take it if the peloton were going to look at each other a bit too much. He'd built a gap up to 22 seconds with only 3.5 kilometers to go, and this awoke Q36.5 and Lidl Trek, who quickly put men at the front, trying to limit the damage being done by the young Spanish rider. Q36.5 really thinking they could do something here with Fabio Christian, doing a very good job to maintain the pressure at the front. And then inside the last kilometer, it was Samuel Fernandez who was the rider who came in first on the final climb, but the peloton behind were quick to hunt him down, and it looked like he could maybe do it or maybe not. But at the back, we could definitely see some teams hitting out. And this here was Isaac Del Toro really ramping up an attack here. Maybe a bit too premature, but Isaac Del Toro with flying form was trying to hunt down the Spanish rider. And with about 700 meters to go, it looked like he had just mistimed it a bit. Didn't quite have enough energy to close the gap as the Spanish rider was coming onto a bit of cobblestone and almost lost the bike there, but kept it under control. Then when we see from the helicopter shot, we could see that there was another rider who attacked, and this was Roger Adria of Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Once they had caught Fernandez, Roger Adria was pacing up the road. Isaac Del Toro, fourth wheel, looking to respond, but didn't quite manage to do it. A massive gap opening up to the two riders out in front. The AG2R rider even hitting out as well, but Adria looking fairly good. And then Isaac Del Toro came a cropper, even taking down Lidl Trek as well. But at front, it was Roger Adria who took the victory in front of the AG2R rider. And what a victory from the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe rider. And what an incredible one, to say the least, for him. But it went wrong for Isaac Del Toro. And when we look at the crash again, he just takes that corner a bit too sharp, loses the bike, and then, unfortunately for Giulio Ciccone, Isaac Del Toro's hand gets caught in his front wheel, and that takes him down as well. So those two riders getting caught up in a very bad crash, unfortunately. But what it meant for the day was that Roger Adria took the victory in front of Jordan Brosset, and the third place rider was Alfonso Ualio, and then it was Leo Biscio, Damian Corojo, Fabian Christen, Lucas Eriksson, best Scandinavian, and Egan Bernal, 8th place, Archie Ryan, 9th place, and Brandon Rivera in 10th place. So that meant that Roger Adria is going to be a new GC leader as well. So what that meant for the lead was that Roger Adria is now leading the Vuelta a Burgos with the bonus seconds as well, quite comfortably, over many of the pre-race favorites. Obviously, it's only stage one, but in the top 10, we don't have Mikel Landa, we don't have Isaac Del Toro, and now, because of the bonus seconds and the time difference as well, he leads by 4 seconds down to Jordan Labrosse, but more than 20 seconds down to many of the other riders because of that time gap that was opened up. So quite a bit of time for him. But anyways, that's basically it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and why not check out the video on the Cycling Dane channel where we talked about the impressive rise of Isaac Del Toro. But we're going to cover all the stages of this year's Vuelta a Burgos, so a reason to subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.